Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to address some criticism I've been getting since I said something in my video yesterday that appears to have upset a lot of people. In that video, I said, if the government was preemptively taking guns away from people who were more likely to commit crimes, then they would be taking guns away from minorities a lot, especially black people, and no one would stand for that. Well, because I said that, a lot of people are like, you're a racist, you're saying black people are murderers and blah, 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 all black people do this, they're more violent, blah, blah, blah. When really I said none of that. I just said, statistically, a black man in this country is like 3 times more likely, up to 4 times more likely to commit murder than a white man. That's just the statistics. I should get my tongue all untied there. It's just the way it is. You have about a population group or a minority group that makes up 12% of the population, representing almost half the murders. That's, lopsided there. They're overrepresented in the murderer group here. That means every individual black male is more likely to commit murder. That's just a number. That's not saying all black people commit murder. No, that would be racist. All black people are more violent. That would be racist. Saying that statistics show that 12% of the population, which is black, makes up 50% of the murderers, means that that minority group is more likely to be involved in that crime. That's not racist. I've dealt with this before, and I've covered this before in a video, but apparently it doesn't stick with some people. Recognizing reality isn't racist. Placing prejudgments or assertions on people with no information and without knowing anything about them as an individual, that's stereotyping. That's racist. Stating facts about a collective group is not racist. If I say, hey, more black people go to, what's that black college that's on the Cosby Show? If I said, hey, if they went to this college, it's more likely that they're black. Well, that's not racist. That's just a statement of fact. And same thing with murder rates. So if the government was going to say, we want to preemptively take guns away from people who are likely to commit crimes, well, the first group they would take them away from would be men. No men would be allowed to own guns. Not white men, black men, Hispanic men, maybe Asian men. Asian men don't tend to kill people with guns too much in this country. And I believe I have a hypothesis on that. I think it's because they all know karate and they will kill you with their bare hands instead. But like I said, maybe Asian males would be allowed to have guns. But the first people you'd have to disarm, if the government was proactively disarming people who are likely to commit crimes, would be men. But then it would be black men. Because like I say, black men are way more likely to commit a crime than a black man, a violent crime of murder. So if they said, well, we can't take guns away from all men, well, the next group they'd look at would be blacks. Because that would be the highest offender rate of men. If they narrowed it down even further, okay, if we look at men are the biggest offenders, who are the biggest offenders in men? It would be black men. That would be the reality. And I didn't say that as a racist statement. I stated it as a fact, and I stated it in a way to show that how heinous these preemptive seizure things are and how they go against what most woke people would actually think, or most just decent people. Most decent people want to be racist and making decisions based on things like that. They wouldn't want to deprive a whole race of people, especially, or at least the males of a whole race of people, of the right to bear arms, exercise their constitutional rights. That would be so racist and discriminatory, the left would explode. But if you follow their logic, like they've been talking lately, like we got to figure out these people that commit crimes and a way to stop them and a way to get the guns out of their hands before the crimes are committed and blah, blah, blah. Well, the first thing you do is say, okay, men are the biggest offenders. Out of the men, the black people are the biggest offenders. And then it's, whites and Asians, and then very occasionally, whites and Hispanics, and very occasionally Asians. So that's where it would go naturally. Now, I'm not saying that it's because of someone's race that this happens. It just so happens if you're in this particular racial group, blacks, Hispanics, etc., you are more likely to live in an inner city. You're more likely to be poor. You're more likely to have less chances at education, etc. And those things equal people who do bad things sometimes. Not always. Not even regularly. I wouldn't say that even. But it's the same thing like in a poor coal mine town in West Virginia. If they're white in that town, chances are they're poor. Chances are they didn't get a good education. Chances are they don't have a lot of job opportunities. So they're going to commit a lot of crimes. And that's true where I come from. A lot of the kids I went to high school with are in jail or dead or drug addicts because of where they were raised and the opportunities that were put in front of them. You know, most people can struggle for more, but that's not as easy as just taking what sat in front of you, and that's what happens. And unfortunately, in some racial groups, what sat in front of them tends to be less than other groups, simply because of where they tend to live, where they tend to be raised, you know, what their economic status happens to be, etc. And because of that, like I said, if you were one of those people that wanted to support taking guns away from people preemptively, you would have to admit that, yeah, black males would probably be the first group you removed guns from. You know how many crimes we would stop? If you made it to where black males couldn't own guns or weapons of any type, you'd probably get rid of 20% of the murders in this country. That's a lot. And you might say, well, wouldn't it be 50% of the murders? Well, no. Because you can still strangle a bitch, beat them with a club, stab them. You know, it doesn't have to be weapons you usually carry on you. You can find a club to beat someone with or an iron pipe, and you don't always got hands. You can always find a piece of rope or something to choke somebody to death with. So it wouldn't stop most murders, period. I doubt it would even stop 20%, maybe 10%. But, you know, would stop some just because of the mass number of people that would commit the crimes that now don't have the means. So that would that would do what people wanted it to do. It would stop some crimes, a small number of them. But people be like, oh, no, you can't do that because you're singling them out for race. Well, what else? Is it okay to single them out because they're Republican or conservative or live in an urban area? It's the same type of discrimination and it's the same type of system. And it's not right no matter what you base it on. Preemptively policing people is not right. Trying to label someone as a potential this or that simply because of the color of their skin or how they vote, etc., is not right. And like I said, what I said was not racist. I would never imply that a black person is somehow inherently worse than a white person. In fact, most white people I have met suck. So I'm assuming most black people I meet suck too. You know, I assume most people suck. So most people I don't get to know well enough to know they suck. So it's the same thing. I assume most white people suck. I assume most black people suck. Of all the whites and black people I've met in my life, there's only been a few out of each group that I actually still call friends. In fact, it's probably just disproportionately black people. But that's because I lived in Alabama for so long. One of my best friends is black. Like probably one out of the three really good friends I've had is a black man. So that makes 33%. That's overrepresentation. So I pat myself on the back for that. It makes me so special that I'm so open-minded like that. Some people act like that, you know. But like I was saying, if you support these kind of things, like that preemptive, that modeling who's most likely to commit a crime. Another group of people that wouldn't be allowed to own guns is people that get married. That would even be a bigger group than a black man, I think, for taking guns away. Because since half marriages end in divorce, more so nowadays, and marriages tend to get ugly, and a lot of time when a husband kills his spouse, it's during a separation or a divorce, or over infidelities, etc. People who get married surely shouldn't be allowed to own guns. So it's just a really... I don't like slippery slope arguments, but this isn't a slippery slope. This is a logical use of the criteria. If you're going to try to decide who should not have guns based on what they're likely to do, you would be doing racist things, sexist things, etc. And since that's not acceptable in any other field, I don't know why it is in gun rights, but some people seem to think it is. But that's what I was saying. And I'll continue to say that. I'll continue to use statistics to prove my point. It's not racist. It's factual. And like I've said many times in the past, if you want to deal with it as far as why is it that more black people are more likely to commit a violent crime, well, then you have to recognize the problem first. And then you have to say, we need better education. We need better opportunities, more job opportunities, blah, 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 in these inner city neighborhoods, black areas, etc. Because if you don't recognize the problem, you can't deal with it. It's not racist to recognize a problem and fix it, as long as you're not blaming the problem on the color of the people's skin. It just so happens the people with that color skin tend to face that problem more often. And that depends on where you're at. Like if you're in Detroit or something, yeah, it's going to be more black people facing that problem. If you're in Hurricane, West Virginia, it's going to be more white people facing the problem. So there's nothing racist about recognizing the problem, because if you don't recognize the problem, you can't fix it. Every time you acknowledge race as a factor, that's not racist. So get over yourself, quit being offended for other people, because what I said is not racist, it's factual, and it was used to prove a point that if you're not racist, you shouldn't be okay with all this preemptive garbage that the anti-gunners are so fond of. All right, everybody, I want to move on to my favorite part of the show now, and that is, of course, gun talk. And today for gun talk, I want to answer a very easy question that I got, and that is, what is your favorite 1911? Well, at first I thought, well, that's an easy question to answer, but then I thought, well, not really, it isn't, I guess, because I've got, a few custom guns that I really like, but I also really like my Dan Wessons, especially my long slide 10 millimeters. But I finally decided, well, how would I decide my favorite? I was like, well, I decided the best way to do that would be to look at all of them and go, which one of these guns would I never carry, because it would absolutely destroy me if I got so much as a scratch on it. And when I thought about it that way, it was easy to choose my favorite. And my favorite is my Nighthawk Custom Talon. If you're not familiar with the Talon, it's a custom gun from Nighthawk. The one I have is stainless steel, but it is also coated in hard chrome. They coat the whole gun in hard chrome, and then they polish the flats down to where you see the stainless steel again. Gives the gun a beautiful two-tone look. The gun has a lot of features on it that are really nice. Now, it is 45 ACP. I kind of wish I'd gotten 10 millimeter, but I wanted it to be very traditional because I wasn't going to carry this gun, so I wanted it to be the traditional 45 ACP. Now, the gun has some really nice features like a serrated back on the slide. It has the fluted top. It also has the Novak night sights. It's got the front serrations. The back and front of the grip are serrated very nicely. It does also have a more traditional barrel bushing and crowned barrel. It doesn't have the recessed crown like I usually like, but like I said, I wanted this gun to be more traditional. And then I finished it off with some nice bone grips from MD Grips. These are just beautiful grips. They look so good on this gun. And it just makes it a really, really nice looking gun. And it's also top-notch quality. Nighthawk builds excellent guns. This gun is just so nice. Like I said, way too nice to carry. It's just one of those guns that's just made for hugging and a kissing. And I have said there are some guns, there's some shooting guns, there's some carrying guns, and there's some taking home to mama guns. The guns that are made for a hugging and a kissing, and this is one of them. It is a beautiful gun, and it is my Nighthawk Custom Talon. Now, I know a lot of you are going to think, well, since you said that's your favorite, that's probably the best custom 1911. At least that's what you think is the best custom 1911. Well, that's not true. In fact, it's not even the best custom 1911 that I own. If you want to know what I think are the best custom 1911s, tune in tomorrow, and I'll do a top 5 list of what I think are the best available custom 1911s, but I'm going to keep it to where it's not too crazy. I'm going to keep it under $4,000 each. All right, everybody, I want to end the show today with a pet adoption, but it's not really a pet adoption because this isn't a case of someone saving a pet. This is a case of a pet saving a person. And it's a point I want to make here. So often people will have a pet for years, they lose them, and then they're reluctant to get another dog. And that is a family that could be providing a home for a puppy. Now, in this case, it's a lab that Ed and Jacqueline C. recently obtained because they had to put their lab down in January and they needed to fill the hole in their heart. And he said it in this post when he sent to, he may not have saved the puppy, but the puppy saved him. Or he may not have rescued the puppy, but the puppy rescued him because of his anguish over losing his other dog. And that was kind of the point I want to make tonight. If you have a dog that you love and then you lose them, don't suffer any more than you have to. You will always miss them. But that love has to go somewhere. Get another dog. Get a puppy. It helps. People ask me all the time, how do I cope with losing a pet? It's so hard. It is. It's painful. Sometimes I find it more painful than losing family members. But here's the thing. Get another pet. It helps you. It fills that hole. It gives you some place to put the same love and attention that you would have given your old dog now to someone else, to a new dog that needs a home. So don't feel like, oh, I'm trying to replace my other dog and that ain't right. Look at it as, now I have an opening in a home for a dog that needs one. And go out and get you one. Because like I said, not only are you saving them, often they're saving you. Because they won't make it better, but they will reduce the pain. They will reduce the longing. They will reduce how much you miss having a dog in your life. Someone that actually deserves your attention and affection. So like I said, if you lose an animal, you'll always remember them. You'll always miss them. But like I said, remember, that gives you an opportunity to save another animal that needs a loving home. All right, everybody, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come back again tomorrow. I want to remind everyone that today is the last day you can go over to Patreon and become a $5 or more patron to be entered into the friend drawing tomorrow. So if you're interested in that, get over to Patreon today before midnight Eastern time. With that being said, I just want to sign off as usual here by saying, as far as the state of the world today is concerned, it is what it is. It could be a lot worse, but it could be better. And if we as a community start to ignore the fear mongers, the profiteers, the fake activists, the people who want to manipulate us and profit off of us, and keep level heads about ourselves and fight smart and hard for our rights in this country, what things will be for people who value the Second Amendment and freedom in general in the very near future is better.